Hi there, it's a beautiful sunny day in Vancouver and welcome to my channel. When I first moved to Canada, I thought I was prepared for everything, but I wasn't prepared for this. From randomly smiling at strangers to be expected to do everything yourself, from pumping gas in your car to fixing and building furniture from scratch to instruction manuals. Boy, is it challenging. For many immigrants and international students, moving to a new country is like stepping in a totally different world. Especially if you haven't traveled outside your home country or you don't have international exposure. Sometimes, even without realizing, you could come across as rude or mean simply because you don't know the culture. That's why I'm making this video, to help you understand cultural differences, to help you integrate and assimilate within the Canadian society. This will also help you make more friends and also help you become more employable. Trust me, a little awareness can make all the difference, and I'm here to make that journey smoother for you. To fully understand this concept, let's start with a few examples. Firstly, Canadians love small talk. So if you're using public transit or even if you're in the grocery store, people will make small talk to you and they will be extremely polite. Even if you're crossing somebody by, it is considered very nice and polite to either make small talk with them, you can ask them how their day went, how they're doing, or simply smile at them. Also, please be aware that this small talk is simply a way of greeting you. If somebody asks you how you are or how your day went, it's not an invitation to give a very detailed answer, and don't make them stand for hours just because they asked you how your day went. Now, let's come to my most favorite topic, food. So, in Canada, people like cold sandwiches and they like to have their meals to go. They're always in a rush, they like to grab their food, they sit in a car, they have their meal and they go back to work. So, Canadians have a fast-paced lifestyle. So, they like their meals to be ready to grab and go and be ready to eat. On the contrary, South Asian food is very spicy, it takes a lot of time. First you make the curry, then you make the bread, then you prepare your salad, and then maybe some sort of chutney or something. So Canadians don't really have time for that, and they like to grab their meal and then they eat while they're walking or even when they're in their car. So surprisingly, Pakistan is ahead of Canada in this one thing, and that is restaurants having partnerships with banks. So in Pakistan, if you have a debit card or a credit card and it's from a strong bank, then usually you get 30, 40, 50% off even at fine dining restaurants. So end of the day, you end up saving a lot. So Canadian restaurants, please see this and start working on this. Also, Pakistanis still love using a lot of cash in their daily transactions, even if they're buying groceries or whatever they're doing. However, most Canadians like to go cashless. When it comes to the topic of tipping in restaurants, Pakistan and Canada are both very gracious and they tend to tip their servers, but their way of doing it is very different. Let's start with Pakistan. In Pakistan, if you want to tip your server, if you pay with your card, then what you'll do is you'll be paying the full amount with your card, and then the tip that you give will be in cash. You'll simply put the extra cash in your menu or whatever receipt that he brings to you and you give it to him. So the extra amount that you give in cash will be the server's tip. As for Canada, in Canada, whenever you get a bill, even before you can tap your card on the POS machine, it will give you an option to tip. Now, usually in restaurants, you get an option for paying 15%, 20%, 30%, and you can even give a custom tip. So your tip will be added to the full amount of your bill, and that is how you tip in Canada. Canadians are also very accepting of different opinions and different perspectives. Thus, there is open conversations about topics like gender, religion, and lifestyle. On the contrary, in countries like Pakistan, these topics are considered difficult and a taboo. So you don't really speak about them and you will not find any open debates about them either. So whatever opinions you have, you keep it to yourself. So whenever you move to Canada, feel free about having open conversations about such subjects as long as you keep it respectful and within decent boundaries. Also, please be mindful, whatever you thought was funny in Pakistan might not be funny in Canada. For example, if in Pakistan, a lot of people have a habit of calling you by your skin color, by your race, by your gender, by how obese you are, This is not considered decent in Canada and you will be shamed for it. Name calling, cat calling, or simply shaming somebody because of their skin color or their weight is considered extremely rude and you will be cancelled. So please be mindful and be decent. Also, please let me give you a very big warning. If you come to Canada, please do not fall ill. Why? Because Canadian healthcare system absolutely sucks. Even with free healthcare, what is the use of free healthcare where you can't even access a doctor? If you fall ill, you're going to call a clinic, and when you call the clinic, the appointment that you get is going to be after 4 months. So what good is that? It doesn't make any sense. Secondly, in Canada, there is a concept of having a family doctor, so that instead of going to random physicians or random doctors, you have one family doctor that has all your medical history and he caters to all of your family as well. So he's aware of all symptoms and any kind of medical conditions that you may have, so he can serve you better. In Pakistan, this is not the case. People usually have one doctor that they go to for generations, and registering a family doctor is not very common in Pakistan. But in Pakistan, healthcare system is much better than Canada because you have access to doctors, you have access to all kinds of procedures, surgeries, whatever you want to do. Even though it might be pricey for the general public, but it is still accessible. So Canadians love peace. So whenever you're driving, you will not hear anybody honking, you will not see anybody shouting or creating a havoc or creating a scene. In Pakistan, every other second you will hear somebody honking, there will be people that are breaking traffic lights, and it's just a very, I would call it a haphazard situation in Pakistan, whereby nobody is adhering to the rules and it's a free-for-all. So when you come to Canada, please obey all the traffic lights and get your license and stop honking, because it is considered extremely rude to honk at somebody. Also, when it comes to littering, Canadians have different disposal bags for recyclable items, non-recyclable items, and any other plastics. So be mindful whenever you're throwing out garbage, you're throwing it in the right section. Also in Canada, you might be lucky enough to see a lot of wildlife. You might see raccoons, squirrels, and even some bears in urban areas. In Canada, following traffic rules is considered a very big deal. So ensure that you are following speed limits and you're wearing a seatbelt. In Pakistan, it is very common not to wear a seatbelt. I don't know why. Either it's considered fashion, or people are too cool about it, or they don't care about their life. So I was one of the people in Pakistan that told all of my friends to start wearing seatbelts. Why? Because simply do the cost-benefit analysis. Let's say you're wearing a seatbelt. What's the benefit? You might save your life. But if you're not wearing a seatbelt, the cost is very high. On the contrary, there is absolutely no benefit of not wearing a seatbelt. You don't look cool, it's not in fashion, and there is absolutely no utility in not wearing a seatbelt. So even if you're living in Pakistan, please listen to this message. Care about yourself and your loved ones, and for God's sakes, wear your seatbelt. And especially when you come to Canada, because if you don't and you don't obey traffic laws, then you will be heavily fined. One big difference you will see when you come to Canada between Pakistan and Canada is the change in timings. In Pakistan, people are known to be laid back. They open their stores in the afternoon and then they close late at night. However, in Canada, stores, grocery stores, shopping malls, everything opens very early in the morning. Some stores even open before even the sun rises, and then they're closed at evening. So please be aware of this and change your life accordingly, because if you don't do this, then you will get bored, because at 7 a.m. at 8 a.m. when you go out at night, there will be nothing open and you will get absolutely bored with nothing to do. So I have shared these few examples with you to help you understand that moving to a new country like Canada can be full of surprises, but understanding these cultural differences and norms can make your journey much more smoother and better. So if you like this video and found it relatable, let me know in the comments below. And share your examples where you found cultural differences in any other country.